On today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we celebrate Memorial Day by honoring the life of the 95-year-old World War II, Vietnam, and Korean War veteran Richard Grewelle Sr. This man is 95 years old, and he fought for our freedom because freedom is not free.
He wants to know if you could talk to the governor or the lawmakers about the virus. What would you say to them?
I would tell them don't worry too much about the virus, but think more about the veterans who gave up their time and some of them gave their lives so that we could be free. And I enjoy speaking to the schools. I go to the schools and speak to the student body, and I enjoy that. And I would enjoy going to and speaking to the governor and the Washington State General Counsel there in Olympia to speak to them about my experience and everything, and let them know exactly what happened during that one particular day on Normandy, on the beach of Omaha, which was the worst beach of all. And I just want them to know what our feelings were during this period of time. And I miss enjoying speaking to the schools.
During today's interview, he shares with us what it's like to storm the beaches of Normandy and to fight for our freedom. That's what he fought for, is our freedom. He joins us for a two-part interview, and I encourage you to get out a pen and a pad and take some notes as this true American patriot shares his story and his journey to protect your rights and your freedoms. All right, Thrive Nation, on today's show, this is the most important show I've ever recorded. This show here, we are joined with a man who has served our country three different times. He's served our country his entire lifetime, but he's fought in 3 wars. Richard Grewelle, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm fine.
Now, I understand, according to Lisa, that you're looking good, but how old are you, sir?
Oh, I'm 95.
95 years old. Now, Lisa was telling me, she was bragging on you, and she loves the residents there that she cares for, and she told me that you have served in 3 wars. And if it's okay, sir, I would like to ask you specifically about World War II. What was your role in World War II?
Taking care of casualties on the beach of Normandy.
When you stormed the beaches of Normandy to fight against the Nazi regime, could you describe what the mood was like when you were on the boats before you went ashore?
Well, I was on an LCT coming in, and I usually like to get off on the first wave of the boat once they let down the landing craft. But this particular day, I felt an inner feeling to move aft on the boat, and when I did that, an 88 shell hit the ramp of the boat and killed everybody that was on it. So I would have been on it had not I listened to the little sweet small voice that was speaking to me, and I believe that was the Lord telling me to move back, and I stuck with the 91st Psalm all the way through. And it stuck with me because in one of the verses it says there'll be 10,000 falling at your right and 10,000 on your left, and that was about the way it was too, because we landed on the beach of Omaha, and which was the worst beach of all 5 of the beaches, but all I could do was take care of the casualties. And I did this for, I don't know how many days, 3 or 4 days. I don't remember going to eat or sleeping. I was just too busy taking care of casualties that was happening. And I lost my best friend right next to me when landed at the beach. 88 shell went right through his helmet and killed him instantly. And then we picked him up later on in the day and brought him to the beach and let the Army dead patrol pick him up later. And but I was just kept busy the whole time we was on the beach.
Sir, I don't know how to say thank you enough for what you did, other than just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm a 39-year-old man. I've got 5 kids, 2 of them here with me, and I can't imagine what it would be like to live under Nazi oppression. You guys fought and liberated the Jewish people that had been enslaved in those concentration quarantine camps. Why did you choose to fight, or why did you want to fight on behalf of to liberate the Jews and to defeat the Nazis? Why did you want to fight?
It was just one of those things that during our generation, as Lou Gumbo said, that this was the greatest generation ever to live, and I believe it, because we gave up a lot. I gave up my school. I resigned my class as a junior in high school, but my mother picked up my diploma the next year, so I still got my diploma. And but then I just believe that ours was the greatest generation to live, because of what we had to give up. Not only myself, but the other people that was older than I was. I was only 19 years old when I made the landing at Normandy. And 1 year before that, I made the landing I didn't make the landing at Sicily, but I was there at the Battle of Sicily when the 45th Division, I think it was, that we had on our ship. And we were able to, I think it was General Patton, 45th Armored Division, or Tank Division, I forget what division it was, but he came aboard, he came ashore later. And but I just thank the Lord for keeping his hand upon me and keeping me from getting hit. I never got a scratch from any of the shells or bullets going by my head. All I could hear were just whizzes going past me. And then a couple of times, 88 shell had landed a couple of feet ahead of me, and that one killed my best friend. And but I never got a scratch, and I just thank the Lord for that.
Sir, when you were in the boats headed to the shore, were you guys talking to each other? Was it absolute silence? Walk me into what that was like, sir.
Oh, we were talking to each other on the way in. I don't remember what we were talking about, but we were talking about ourselves and what we were going to do when we got over this landing process, and where we were going to go next. And I just don't remember what else we talked about. But
do you? I mean, I don't think people realize that on the beaches of Normandy that day, during that time, 425,000 people died.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I lost him. Hang on.
Okay.
Are you muted?
Yes, I'm not muted. Is he muted?
Oh, no, we lost you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
When you said on the beaches were 400 and...
Yeah. Richard, 425,000 people died on the beaches, on the beach. 425,000 people. Could you describe because I don't think people recognize how much of a sacrifice you made for this country. Could you describe what it's like to be in a battle where 425,000 people are dying all around you?
I don't know exactly how to explain that, because all I was doing was giving them the emergency first aid and doing the best I can to keep them alive, and so they'll be able to make it back to England, or even back to the larger ships that were out in the bay there. But I just can't remember what else we talked about, other than we were just doing our job that we were trained to do and taking care of the casualties and the best we could, and send them on their way and make sure that they got onto the next ship, or else to a larger ship, and take care of the doctors and operating room and everything on. And that was our job, to make sure that they got back safely.
You did describe to me once, Richard, what it was like to pull people out of the water when you're 18.
That was I've never done that before. But when I tried to pull these people out of the water, all that came off was their skin, and that kind of blew my mind a little bit, and I didn't really know how to react, because I've never done this before, and but I just asked the Lord just to help me, and He did, and I was able to pull more people out of the water and not even think about losing their skin and everything, and having to have new skin later on wherever they was going to be landing at. But I was just thankful that I was able to help and do what I could do in order to see what the people, especially the French people, and later on, I got a medal from the French government, or the French San Francisco French consulate came aboard where I was living in Chihuahua and presented me with the Medal of Honor given to non-Frenchmen who had did so much to liberate France from the Germans. And I didn't think I did that much, but maybe I did. But anyway, it was wonderful to be able to receive this Medal of Honor from the French government.
Sir, you are an absolute legend. I can't tell you thank you enough. It's just I want to, if I can, Lisa, I mean, if I could, I would come in there and spend weeks interviewing you, because this is just so everything. I'm serious. What you're saying is just everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know this. How long did you fight, sir? I mean, were you fighting for weeks, months, years? How long were you actively engaged in these battles with the Nazis?
How long was I engaged?
No. How long were you there fighting?
Oh, we were there. We was on the beach 22 days later after the army made it inland. We stayed there and mopped up the beach and took care of all the other stuff on the beach that was left, and the minor injuries from people coming ashore. And then part of our outfit stayed 22 days and then went back to England, and then later on to the Pacific, and continued fighting this small amounts of battles there individually in small units.
What did you actually make it to a concentration camp? Were you part of the team that liberated the concentration camps? Did you see that?
No, I never did get in. We stayed right on the beach, taking care of casualties. We never went inland at all.
How do you cope with death at that magnitude? I mean, how do you? Can you tell us about maybe some of the kinds of conversations you would have with other troops? I mean, how do you deal with it? Do you kind of have gallows humor? Do you mess with each other? Is it super serious? Are you? How did the guys process the violence and the death going on?
I don't know exactly how they explained to that, because I never took time to really talk to them. I just did my job. I did my emergency first aid, bandaged them up, and tried to send them out back to the larger ship so they could be taken care of correctly. And but I didn't really talk to the casualties that I took care of, other than hope to see them soon. But other than that,
he has several near-death experiences that will just give you chills from each of the wars, where he literally felt the hand of God, like saving his life. And I think today, in this era where everyone is in such a hurry for things to happen right now,
I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about it. And I want to ask you this, Richard, just to get clarity. My understanding, according to Lisa, is that you've served in multiple wars. What wars did you serve in, sir?
I was in during the Korean War, but I spent a year in Vietnam also, flying on the CH-46s, picking up casualties out in the bush. But the Korean War, I was with the 2nd Med Battalion in the Camp Lejeune, and we was getting ready to go to Korea. But then a month before we left, I had orders to report to Africa at Port Laote. So I never did go to Korea with the with the 2nd Med Battalion, because I had received orders to go to Africa, and then I flew a few medevacs Africa, going up and down the Mediterranean Sea on the PBYs, and picking up casualties, especially the ones in the English place in Malta, and bring them back to Port Laote, and then we flew them to Germany to an Army, an Air Force military hospital.
Remember when you gave up your seat coming home?
Huh?
Can you tell the story about giving up your seat coming home? Was that from Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell that story?
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
When you were supposed to go home, but you let someone else go?
No, I don't remember that.
You know, Richard, I often can't find my car keys, so don't feel bad that you forgot this story. I can't. I mean, I'm a 39-year-old guy, and I'll spend entire afternoons trying to find my car keys. I have a system now. I come home and I put it in the same place. But before I discovered my system, I would spend entire days looking for my keys or looking for. So no problem there. Richard, I do want to ask you this: what were a few near-death experiences that you went through that you made it through?
Some near-death experiences that you made it through. Some of the ones where Jesus had his hand on your shoulder. You've told a few of those stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can you give a couple of those?
Oh yeah, the one there in Vietnam, where we was real early in the morning. We got 60 millimeter or larger shells coming in, hitting us, and I got a piece of shrapnel that was within 2 feet of my bunk where I was sleeping, but it could have hit me right off, but I believe the Lord just directed that shell to go someplace else, and I just thank the Lord for that. And that was every morning we would get shells like this coming in, landing 2 and 3 feet from our bunks, and but they didn't kill any of our men. We had some that were wounded, but none of the men was killed except one night later on in the evening. A shell hit one of the Hooters, one of the sleeping quarters, and did kill all 8 of the people that were in there. But it was a direct hit on the house, and we had no control of that. But the Lord did. Maybe that was one way of showing that He is in the business of watching over and keeping us. But I believe that He kept His hand on us, and he only had hit this one hooch and killed all of them. But that hooch was way away from the main artery where most of the shells were coming in. But I just thank the Lord for watching over us and just protecting us.
How many guys smoked cigarettes while engaged in battle? Did most people smoke cigarettes?
I didn't smoke.
Did your friends?
Huh?
Did all your friends?
Yes, my friends did. Yeah.
And did they sneak alcohol into their flasks occasionally, sir?
Yeah, they had some alcohol there in their room, but I didn't drink either. So
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not. Hey, sir, I wasn't implying at all that you would do that. I kind of want to know about the jackassery, some of the things that happened behind the scenes that were kind of stupid things, because you guys are 19-year-old kids saving America. I mean, you are a living treasure, sir, and I just want to tap into. Could you share maybe? Were there any kind of funny things you guys did to kind of lighten the mood a little bit? I mean, did you guys ever engage in some ridiculous activities?
Did you do anything fun to lighten the mood when you guys were all together? Did you do anything fun to lighten the mood up when you guys were together? Did you play cards? Did you?
Oh yeah, we played cards. I played a lot of the one card game.
Poker, gin, rummy.
No, one where you just
War. Oh, solitaire.
solitary.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Now, okay. Now let me ask you this here. So you guys, I'm trying to get the listeners a kind of a visual picture here. Were you in tents where you were playing cards? Were you in a where were you playing cards?
Oh, we were in a hooch playing after the morning episode. The afternoon we would be playing cards.
Now, I've seen footage where Americans would paint messages on the bombs. Was this actually a thing, sir? Did people actually paint messages on the bombs that we dropped on the Germans, on the Nazis?
Did we paint messages on the bombs that we dropped? Did they paint the bombs?
Well, some of the Air Force people did, I guess. That's what I heard. I've never seen it.
But you heard that they did that.
I heard that they did, but as I say, I never saw it, so
Yeah.
I can't really say.
Did you ever interact with a Nazi? Did you ever Did you ever capture a Nazi and have to spend time with the Nazis?
Well, the only one that we had any contact with was the prisoners of war that we had captured, and we had some friends that spoke German real fluently, and they were able to converse with them and find out how they ended up on the beach and all that stuff. But yeah, and we had some people that spoke Polish, because we had a lot of the Polish Germans there with us on the beach that we had picked up as prisoners of war, and they were able to converse with them in their language and understand them. But I don't know what they were talking about. But all I know that they was laughing and giggling and all that crazy stuff. But anyway, that's the way it was on the beach of Normandy.
Have you ever heard, sir, why or how the Nazis could be complicit, how the German soldiers could be complicit in their desire to try to kill all Jewish people? I mean, what did you ever hear a Nazi explain to you, or have you ever heard why these good people decided to become Nazis and they tried to kill all these Jewish people? Have you ever heard what their rationale was, why they did it?
No, I never did hear anything like that. Maybe I met the wrong people, but there were some of the people that I met that had good reports on the Jewish people that they had tried to kill. How they believed in their spiritual realm, that they was doing the right thing, but the Jewish people, I don't know how to explain this, because they wasn't upset at all, the ones that I spoke to. They just believed that this is what was going to happen. And I never thought about that before.
What is your take with Hitler? What was Hitler? What was his problem? Did people make fun of him as a young guy? Did he have an attitude problem? What do you think motivated Adolf Hitler to engage in crimes against humanity? What do you think Hitler's motive was?
What do you think motivated Hitler? What do you think his motivation was?
Oh, I don't know. He wanted control of all of Europe. Yeah, that was his main goal, I think. But
well,
what did you think of him? What did you guys think of him?
I didn't think very highly of him.
A gentleman.
I told him if I had a gun, I'd shoot him.
Amen. Okay. Now, if it's okay, and if I ask any questions that you don't want to answer, feel free to not answer them. But I want to ask you this because Lisa and I met, and she's a great patriot, and she really, really cares about you. She cares about you more than I could possibly express. And I care about you. Didn't even know you, but I know there are so many great people right now who are living in long-term care facilities where you are being quarantined. And I just want to ask your take on the quarantine, sir. What is your take on these quarantines that are being mandated by governors?
What do you think about the quarantine? What do you think about the way things are right now? What are your feelings on it?
My feeling is not very good because I'm not used to being confined to one small room and for 2 weeks. I'm waiting for Wednesday to come around so I can go out and walk the hallway and even step outside and breathe some good fresh air.
And what do you think about your families not being able to come in?
That I miss. I miss my daughter from coming in, and most of my kids are living on the west coast of the state of Washington. So.
And are you afraid? Are you afraid of the virus, or what do you think of
this
virus?
I'm not even. I don't even think about the virus.
Right.
No.
So you would feel safe having your family come in here.
Oh yeah, I feel.
Well, I don't want to put Lisa at risk at all, so I won't ask where you're located, but I can say I really want to come and get you. You know what I mean? I want to come get. I do. I just want to come get you. I want to. Do you feel like you're in a way almost a prisoner, sir? Do you feel that? If you had that thought, I know that's how I would feel. Do you feel like that or no?
No, I don't feel like I'm in jail. I just feel I'm being contained and can't go where I want to go.
Right.
Because of this virus thing. And soon I hope it ends, so we will be able to go. I'm looking forward to Wednesday.
Richard just had to go to the hospital, so when you go out to the hospital and you come back, you have to stay in your room for 14 days in case you've been exposed.
Are you serious?
So that you don't expose everybody else. So he is just recently back from the hospital.
Well, let me tell you something, Richard, a little bonus gift for you. I have the ability to get this interview into the hands of people that are decision makers, people that are leaders that have the ability to make the changes needed for you to be able to go outside and do what you want to do. And so I just want you to, you have the mic. What do you want to say to the lawmakers and leaders as it relates to being forced to be stuck in your room?
He wants to know if you could talk to the governor or the lawmakers about the virus. What would you say to them?
I would tell them don't worry too much about the virus, but think more about the veterans who gave up their time and some of them gave their lives so that we could be free. And I enjoy speaking to the schools. I go to the schools and speak to the student body, and I enjoy that. And I would enjoy going to it and speaking to the governor and the Washington State General Counsel there in Olympia.
Yep.
And speak to them about my experience and everything, and let them know exactly what happened during that one particular day on Normandy, on the beach of Omaha, which was the worst beach of all. And I just want them to know what our feelings were during this period of time. And I miss enjoying speaking to the schools.
The schools aren't even open right now.
No.
And that's sad too, right? Yeah.
Well, it's not only sad. It's actually, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, or Lisa and or Richard, but it's sad and it's also stupid when you consider that 99.2% of all the deaths that come from the coronavirus involve people that have deeply compromised immune systems. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I have 5 kids and they're stuck at home. It doesn't make any sense. Would you be? I mean, again, and this is probably passive aggressive to ask you this on an interview, but would you be willing to hop on the show more often? Because I want to talk to you every day until you get out. Can I talk to you every day? Can we do this every day?
Can he call you tomorrow and hear more stories?
Sure.
Okay.
So I was thinking maybe you and Lisa could talk about a story you want to share, and maybe every day we have about 1 million listeners to this show, and I would like to every day, just if I could, whenever you can do it, I'd just like to take 10 minutes a day if I can, and hear a story, because you are my favorite guest I've ever had and ever will have, and you have made my freedoms that I enjoy possible. Could we do that? Maybe have you on more? You and Lisa could conspire and make a plan for how often we can have you on?
Yes. I know there's lots of things he could share with you. That would be fantastic.
This would be therapy for me.
I would enjoy it.
Yes.
I'm excited about this because you are now my favorite friend. You are the best. You are the best. Richard, you're great. Final question for you. You have the microphone.
I don't know if I'm that great.
Oh, get out of here. Listen to this. You fought 3 wars to fight for the freedoms of people you didn't even know. You guys liberated the Jewish people who would have been exterminated from the planet. And then guys like me, let me tell you what guys like me worry about now. We're going, is my child having too much gluten? You guys are worried about if your child would be killed by the Nazis. People today are worried about, are we social distancing? And, I might get the virus that, by the way, is about as lethal as the flu. Back in the day, you guys were dodging bombs. I mean, you guys are the greatest generation. And I just want to ask you, sir, what message would you like to share with our millions of listeners from coast to coast all over the world? What is the message that you would like to share? You could say anything you want, sir. What's the message you want to share?
That our generation was the greatest. And I'll stick with that. And I'm just so happy that I was able to serve and do what I did in order to help the people in France live a better life.
What is your religious belief, sir?
What religion are you? What religion? Religion.
Oh, Protestant.
Protestant. Okay, Protestant. So I guess as a Protestant, as a person who believes in the Bible, as a guy who chose to repeat the 91st Psalm in your head amidst a battle. How do you process this? What's going on right now? How do you perceive what is going on as it relates to your faith? Or just I just want to know what's your take on what's happening right now?
What is your take with the virus and faith in the world right now?
I just leave it up to the Lord to watch over and protect me. And I don't worry about the virus at all. It doesn't even enter my mind.
And do you think a lack of faith is maybe what's causing?
It could be, yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, so that's some wisdom there. Well, Richard, thank you so much for being on this show. Lisa, I'm going to try to put this show out on Tuesday, okay. And so he'll be able to hear it on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever, on a phone somehow, and that way he could hear it. And then Lisa, if he feels like I didn't do a hatchet job as a result of my editing, and he wants to be on the show again, I'd like to have him on literally every day you want to. This is my number one focus right now, is getting the truth out there, and I'm trying to set you free, sir. That is my goal, to try to set you free and to get you out of that room so you can go speak at schools. That is my goal, and I will not stop until Richard is free.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Brother, thank you so much. You are a great American.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't think I'm that great, but thank you anyway.
Get out of here. You are the greatest. Your generation was the greatest, and you are part of the great. You were the great soldiers who made the greatest generation. You're the best. I'm an idiot. You're the best. And now for part 2 of my interview with Richard Grewelle Sr. 95 years old, and you served our country in World War II. You fought on the beaches in Normandy, and I wanted to ask you if you have a story that you would like to share with our listeners. Lisa, you spent a lot of time with Richard, and you know he's got some great stories. And I wanted to see if Richard had a story that he could share with us, because I'm a 39-year-old whippersnapper, and I would not have freedom without the great patriotism of Richard. So I wanted to see if Richard could share with us one of his favorite stories.
Well, I don't know if I have any favorites, but I do know that when I made the landing on the third wave, I don't remember much what happened after that for 2 or 3 days. I just don't remember because I was too busy taking care of casualties. And that's all I did, was just do first aid and go on to the next one, I don't remember eating or sleeping for 3 to 4 days. And but I never felt tired. I just kept right on going. And I just thank the Lord for keeping his hands upon me and watching with his angels watching over me as well. And it hid me under the feathers of his wings. And I'm just so thankful that I can rely upon him and just be able to thank him for what he's doing in my life. And I just accept for him as my personal Savior. And I just pray that whoever hears this message will do the same. And but that's about all I can think of. The main one that I just kept going for 3 or 4 days, that I don't remember anything other than working and taking care of casualties, and that was it.
You had mentioned on part 1 of our interview that your best friend was killed on the beaches in Normandy.
Yes.
When that happened, were you able to grieve in the moment, or did that happen years later there, Richard?
No, this happened when we hit the beach. There was an 88 shell that lit right about 2 feet in front of us, and a piece of shrapnel went right through his helmet and killed him instantly. But we came back and removed his body off the beach and put it closer to our aid station, and then let the Army Death Patrol pick him up later when they went around collected all the dead people.
Were you able to grieve for him? Were you able to be
No.
sad, or did you do that later?
No, I did that later when I went to his folks' house and took his dog tags and everything and gave it to them. And she never did recover, his mother. So that was awful. But she never did recover from the loss of her, and they were the only son.
And you went and saw the parents?
Oh yeah. I spent New Year's Eve with him and I. So we were close, but it was awful to see her go down the way she did, and she never did recover. So,
When you say she never recovered, his mother never recovered, can you describe what you mean by that, sir?
well, the loss of a child, I guess, because it was the only child that they had, and then they lose it, and it really took a toll on her, and she never did recover.
Do you recall the feelings you had when you came back onto U.S. soil after fighting, when the war concluded? Do you recall those feelings?
Not really. I remember coming back, I think it was a ship with the Mauritania, I'm not sure, but we took it out of I think of Plymouth, England, and went to New York City. But then we went up, a friend of mine went up to see Rickenbach's parents, and I gave to them his dog tags. And she was still out of it. She couldn't really know what was happening, I guess, but she doesn't remember us being there or nothing. But he did. Her husband knew. He was okay. And
well, Richard, we have a person here with me inside the studio. We have two guys in the studio here. Andrew was born yesterday. Andrew, how old are you?
I'm 12. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 21 years old.
He's 21, Richard. So when you were fighting in World War II, were most of the guys you were fighting with and serving with, were they under the age of 21? Were they 21? How old were these guys?
oh, I don't know. I know I was 19 when I landed on Normandy. I was 18 when I made the landing at Sicily. But Normandy, I don't know. Most of them was older than I was. Most of the men in my battalion were older than me. It seemed like to me I was the youngest, being 19. But that's about all I know. I don't remember how many was older than me or younger than me. I don't think there were too many that were younger, but there could have been quite a few that was older.
How old was your direct supervisor or your direct leader when you were on the beaches of Normandy? How old was he or maybe who was he?
Could you repeat that?
How old was your leader, your troop leader?
Oh, I don't know. He was in his 40s, I think. My commanding officer, he was a commander. So he was. I don't know exactly how old he was. Oh, I know he was a commander.
Was he a fun guy? Was he all about fun?
He was killed on the beach, yes.
Oh, wow. Wow. And when he passed away, who took over for him? How does that work when your leader gets...
It was the lieutenant commander. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
I don't know who took over because I was too interested in taking care of casualties to figure out who got killed and who was still alive. I didn't find out a lot of this until after 10 or 15 days.
What percentage of the guys that landed on the beach of Normandy didn't make it home? What percentage of the guys did not make it home?
We lost about 45% of the people, either wounded or killed in action. That's all I remember.
Wow. Freedom isn't free. You had to fight for it, and so Andrew,
you had to fight for it.
You had to fight for it. And Andrew is here again. He's 21 years old. He was just born yesterday. Andrew, what questions would you have for Richard here? I know that you are a big, very patriotic guy. I know you're very appreciative for what Richard did.
Yeah,
I'd like for you to. So Andrew, I'd like for you to be able to meet Richard here and ask him any questions you'd like.
Richard, hey, it's good to meet you, man.
Good to hear your voice.
Hey, we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for your service. I'm curious, what did it look like when you got started with it? Were you drafted? What did that look like? How did that go? How did you find out about it? What happened there?
Could you repeat?
Did you get drafted? How did you get
Oh,
into
no,
there?
no. I volunteered at the age of 17.
Wow.
Right.
Did you just tell your parents, or you just went?
No, my mother had to sign for me, and I was 17 years old when I went in and went to boot camp in Camp Farragut, Idaho.
That is wild. Now, Anthony, how old are you, Anthony?
I am 28.
Anthony's a 28-year-old entrepreneur. He's built a business and sold it. And again, he wouldn't be free to have freedom without the sacrifices you made. Anthony, what questions would you have for Richard?
Well, question I drew up here is how do you prepare yourself mentally for something like that? Leading up to that, how do you get your mind ready for something like that?
It's awful hard to prepare yourself like that. I had things go through my mind when I left the LCT. I usually want to go off in the first unit that goes off the beach, but a wee small boy told me to go aft on the ship because of the fact that what I didn't know, an 88 shell hit the ramp and killed everybody that was on it, and we would have been on it had I not listened to this wee small voice. And that had to be the Lord directing me back and watching over me. And I just give him all the credit.
Because you normally went off the front of the boat, right?
Pardon?
You normally were in the front, right?
I'm usually in the front. But this particular day, I heard this wee small voice saying, go aft. Go aft part of the boat. And so I did. Me and Rickenbach. And then when we did hit the beach, then he got killed instantly.
What does Memorial Day mean to you, sir? What does Memorial Day mean to you?
Memorial Day to me means the freedom that we got to have from fighting this war. And I look forward to Memorial Day and Veterans Day because I enjoy speaking to large groups of people about my experience landing at the beaches of Normandy. In fact, it's been a year or so now since I spoke to any of the high schools or colleges in the auditorium and got the whole unit. And I miss doing that. But I don't live in town anymore. I live in a retirement home. And it's hard for me I don't have a vehicle anymore. They took my vehicle away. So I had to rely on other people to take me to where I want to go.
But you love sharing with young folks.
Yes, I enjoy sharing. In fact, I enjoy not only sharing, but answering any of their questions that they might have. And a lot of them have a bunch of questions, and I answer most of them.
I can't speak to this with any intelligence at all, And Lisa, maybe you could help me explain my question in a way that is accurate. What is it like to be inside an assisted living center during a quarantine? Like, sir, what is that like?
So right now we have the quarantine.
Yeah.
He wants to know what it's like to be inside a care facility during a quarantine.
Oh, it drives me up the wall because I can't go anyplace. I can't go out of my room. I'm looking forward to tomorrow when the quarantine is lifted. And on Thursday, I'm looking forward to walking the hallway with my not caregiver, but occupational safety health people. They'll be walking with me, and I'm looking forward to that. And I don't dare go outside because of the fact they'll add another 2 weeks on me.
What does that mean?
So Richard,
what does that
he
mean?
just got back from the hospital. He had to go out to the hospital, and when someone has to go to a hospital where there's a chance of exposure, then they stay in their room for 2 weeks when they get back, and then they're able to walk the hallways and come out of their room and see other people and such after that. So he's tomorrow. Yes.
Tomorrow's the last day.
But how is the care here?
Okay, it's fine. I have nothing. No complaints at all. Sometimes it takes a little longer for them to get here because of the type of situation at the time of day, whether they're serving meals or picking up meals.
Right.
It's all, the people getting ready to go to bed. You have to rely on all those things. And I do. I understand all that.
Richard,
and do you get to talk to your kids?
Huh?
Do you talk to your kids every day?
Almost every day. Judy calls, or I call Judy. Yeah. In fact, I called Judy this morning at the church. Wanted to know when you was going to be here.
You were waiting for me, weren't you?
I said the other day on a Monday, on a Sunday, she was here 20 minutes or so earlier. I said, it's 15 minutes now, and she's not here yet.
I'm pretty prompt, huh? I try to be.
Richard, I appreciate you being here on the show, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to share another nugget of knowledge with our listeners. Is there any advice that you wish to pass on to the next generation? Because, you have Andrew on the show. And, again, he was born – Andrew, how old are you again, 21?
21.
Richard, he was just born yesterday. He just hatched out of a little egg
last week.
Yesterday, just last week. Any words of advice for the Andrews of the world, for the people that are in their 20s here? And any pro tips, any marriage tips, just any advice you want to share with the listeners?
I would say to check the military out, to find out what branch of the service that you want to go to, and in that service, what would you like to study? What would you like to do? Whether it's medical, financial, or whatever. I chose I didn't choose medical, but they chose it for me. But I wanted to be a radioman, aviation radioman. But they had different ideas. They needed more Navy medics than they did aviation radiomen. So I stuck with that. And when I went through my hospital corps school, I flunked all my tests the first month. I didn't answer them. But then the captain called me in his office. He said, "Son," he said, "you will finish this course, whether it's this course, the next one, or the one after that. But you will finish, and you will become a hospital corpsman." So I saw the answer on the wall, and so then I buckled down and I answered all the other test questions, and I come up with I was in the top 10%. So, and I was able to choose my own duty station. So I did. I was able to choose the Naval Hospital in Charleston, South Carolina, and I enjoyed that. But yes, look to find out what you would like to do in the military, whether it's medical, financial, mechanical, or whatever. Be an auto mechanic. There's a lot of things you could do.
Richard, I guess my final question I have here for you, I want to respect your time. Talk to the listeners out there about freedom and why we must always remember that freedom is not free. Could you share with us about the price that people have paid for freedom?
Yeah, freedom is not cheap, you know. There's a certain amount of loss that we have with freedom. I know I found this out when the French government gave me a Medal of Honor given to a non-Frenchman for the help of surviving Frenchmen from the Germans. And they gave that to me in 2011. And the French government in San Francisco, the French Corps de Guerre, she came up and surprised me with this medal, and also she came in. She read the article in French, and then she read it in English on what they believe that I did to deserve this medal. And I was really surprised on that. And then the Army gave me the Bronze Star for the work that I did on the beach of Normandy.
Wow.
And so with all the 18, 19, 20 different medals that I have, I suppose two of them, or three of the most important ones are the Medal of Honor given to me by France, and then also the Bronze Star, and then also the Navy Commendation Medal with Valor. The Valor, I was exceptionally
Great.
They gave it to me because of what I went through portraying myself.
Wow. Richard, I thank you so much for being here on today's show. And I was talking over with the team, and we're going to release this show on Memorial Day in honor of you there, sir. And I just appreciate all of the work you've done, all the service you provided the country, fighting for our freedoms. And I just hope you know how sincerely appreciative we are for your sacrifice.
Thank you. I spent 30 years in the Navy.
Well, you look like Lisa sent me some photos of you. Lisa sent me some photos of you, and you look like you're just now turning 27, maybe 29. So I find it hard to believe that you served 30 years, sir, but I won't call you a liar on the show.
Yeah, I spent 30 good years.
There's one question I'd like to ask real
Sure.
quick. What do you think it's important for young people to continue to fight for freedom?
Yeah.
Or do you think that what you did was enough?
No, I think they should still fight for freedom.
You do.
Yeah.
How important is that?
It is to me, because a lot of men in my generation gave up their lives that we could be free and don't have the Germans in our country running the government. And I think they should realize this, how important it is that
And then one more question. Did you always know what you were fighting for?
Yes.
You did. And did you always believe in what you were fighting for?
Yes.
What were you fighting for?
Freedom. Yeah, freedom.
Wow.
And it was just that simple.
Huh?
And it was that simple.
No, it wasn't. No. You lost a lot of friends.
Richard, I appreciate you, brother, for being on the show today. And like I said, I'm going to get this show aired out there on Memorial Day in your honor. And I hope you have a great rest of your day there, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take care. And Lisa, thank you for making this happen. It's an honor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye. And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
I can do this, and I will do this. This is what I tell myself each day. Times are tough these days. All you have to do is turn on the news to find out.
Issue that will trigger the next financial meltdown.
I'm not here to talk about plans to deal with this till 2017. I'm saying we've got a real problem.
Debt is crushing us, with the average American household owing $15,000 on their credit card, $33,000 in student loans. The number of people who work their whole lives and still retire with debt is skyrocketing. People don't even think it's possible to be upwardly mobile anymore. That's the American dream. They think it's dead. You probably know someone that feels the same way. But my friend, they are wrong. History shows us that people have always faced adversity and have overcome obstacles. So can you. John Rockefeller had to drop out of school at the age of 16 to provide for his mom and his siblings after his dad left the family to fend for themselves. But his adversity did not stop him. By the time of John's death, his assets were over $340 billion in today's money. Was his success a choice? Think about it. Oprah Winfrey was raised during legal segregation and experienced a devastating childhood trauma for over 5 years. She had no factual reasons to think her future was bright, but she kept looking forward and went on to build a media empire, becoming the first female African-American billionaire. Was their success a choice? And for me, I know your choice matters. Because of racial segregation, I wasn't even allowed to use the front door of the bank in Greenville, Mississippi. I remember the back door, but I refused to let that slight cause me to fail. Without the ideal family setting and making a living in the cotton fields of the Delta, I shifted my thinking, and so can you. I imagined possibilities that did not even exist at the moment, but they eventually became my reality. I became a Pulitzer-nominated author, an entrepreneur who helped to introduce Stairmaster exercise system to the world. Now the president and CEO of 2 small businesses and one of the owners of a bank that 50 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to even walk through the front door. The American dream is not dead. Let me say it again. The American dream is not dead. Maybe a jump start is all it needs. So was my success a choice? You better believe it was definitely my choice. You see, adversity for many of us is a catalyst that initiates the change. It isn't easy. It's not always fun, but it's a choice. You can do this. No matter what situation you find yourself in, you can maximize your potential. You will meet adversity. Trust me, it will strengthen you. You will fail. It will be lessons learned you will never forget. You will be challenged, but your creativity will amaze you. Get-rich-quick schemes don't work, no matter how enticing. But if you're willing to shift your thinking and make the choice to work hard, believe in yourself, and continually educate yourself, you can accomplish whatever it is that you have imagined. Just imagine the possibilities and be ready to work them into reality. You know, we're excited to help you jumpstart your own success story. Now roll up your sleeves. You can do this. Be your own dream come true. Welcome to Thrive 15.